First, Negredo, burnt to black by calcination's cleansing fire, grants the power for bonds to break and free true cores from mortal cares. Next, Albedo does the wash. In dissolution all is caught. Then separation pulls apart the essence sought from what is not. Stage 3 is Citrinitas, to form the egg at labor's heart, as love's conjunction joins the parts and fermentation wakes their spark. Last, Rubedo's closing stage will finish out the sacred work, as distillation concentrates to make the product strong and pure, and then congealment gives it form, the crystal star, the perfect stone, which through projection gives us gold, the light that shines its virtue forth. What willingly won't be released will by the fire be reclaimed, as true for hated flaws and failures as beloved joys and treasures. Only what's the soul's sole self shall scape the crucible unscorched. All else fades as ash and ember, circumstances unencumbered. True, we're grown by incidents, the chance surrounds that shape our fates, and loyalty and love aren't errors, bonds reveal our purer metal. Still, we're blocked by close-in bounds where fences hold horizons short, and when they're burned away and cleared, we see the ways that they concealed. To fear a fire is worldly wise, no shame to dodge or shun the scourge. But once it's past and much is lost, no sense in mourning cindered dross. Rather, find what truths were spared and wipe the soot from shining cores, ingots stripped from former bonds and stronger drawn to later loves. Worry not to what you're joined, as long as done with good intent. A life will soon enough add worse to bind your power and block your force. But fire will surely come again and strip away what's piled up false. Endure its rage to be reborn. What's real remains, all else moves on. We're flooded and drowned as our miseries abound, we're awash in mischance and annoyance. We're sodden and sinking, but cannot stop drinking till fears float away when we're buoyant. For water is fatal if much is inhaled, but needed for life if it's swallowed. Within us red streams from the ancient salt seas will run toxic if not well diluted. Outside us the air, also fluid but sere, will consume any unguarded moisture. And though we shun caustics, our oxygen costs us, each breath burns us closer to cancer. Each substance in us, bound and borne by our blood, was first formed by some once living creature. All life is composed of the remnants of corpses, digested to break down their tissues. There isn't a question, we're caught in solution, dissolved in a matrix of nature. We might seek our freedom, but interdependence is how each life starts and holds function. The source of our grief is what brings us relief while we float in our common suspension. We're only distilled when we're finally killed, and our residues studied post-mortem. Blades that slice the parts apart seek out difference, need distinction. Do they serve some craft, some art, or only cause crude segregation? Cutting lines dividing kinds could draw upon 1,000 features. Cleaving, leaving part behind, requires justifying reasons. When the finest grade's required and nothing less will yield effect, then slicing off what's slightly flawed might not be cruel, but necessary. Or if there's danger, leaving parts that safety says should be excluded, scrutiny is justified to guard the body from intrusion. But costs arise with each discard, no matter if it's wise or neutral. Doubly worse is cutting out what's good enough and worth including. Processes that prune and waste all forms that miss on pure perfection, yet fulfill a useful range, should be considered false rejection. As much to treat as separate kinds all variants with equal traits, at least as far as functions needs, is time and worthy resource waste. The rule that's used to choose a set, the tool that's used to grade or filter, must reflect a valid test, a property that's proven proper. Cutting down is not a cure for faults in our direction. Unless performed with thought and care, it's only execution. It's become outdated to speak of love and marriage as tokens of the themes of combination. The audience nowadays, jaded and frustrated, tires of hearing of overwrought romances. Even when the theme is tweaked to friendship, teams, or allies, too many turn away in bored dismissal. Experience contradicts trouble-free partnerships, making the perfect pair seemingly fictional. Can't we find examples of better combinations that aren't so overused and won't be mocked? Otherwise, we might try highlighting principles which remain even when troubles do interrupt. Planets turning orbits with sun or moons conjoined, ingredients that mingle in a recipe. Partners don't need to share every thought constantly, they can just generate complement harmony. Sharing music in duets, intimate instruments, in rondo rounds or call response, counterpoint, dialogues, joined to meet a need, partnered by common deed, yet still distinct, unified, separate. Alcohol's a poison that's excreted by a yeast, and for this feat it's widely grown and raised. Imagine if the wastes we made were prized by someone else, so for our shit we earn their love and praise. We do not cheer bacteria that turn our food to rot, nor give much love to mold save penicillin. And when a corpse is liquefied we retch in great disgust, though none of these is any bit the villain. It's true we use some microbes to produce some certain foods, to help us boost nutrition or some flavor. But then we kill them off with their own toxins or with heat, or eat them with the fruits of all their labor. When all they're doing is the same thing as the rest of us, consuming and excreting to make young. Why, we might call it fortune if folk liked what we produced, and helped us to live longer for more dung. But in the end we all move on, our purpose served in full, our leavings feeding other generations. Just like our brethren breaking down what's dead and serves no use, reducing and reforming combinations. So, will you leave a toxin like a botulinum spore, or try and colonize as an infection? Will you churn out fertile soil or chemicals that heal, or at the least give nice intoxication? So far as Mother Earth's concerned, we're not so far removed from microbes that we use to yield our products. For all we're proud of all the works our labors have produced, we could be yeasts in Gaia's bubbling beer vat. As skillful distillers are keenly aware, the still by itself doesn't make your brew pure. While heating and cooling divide off the fractions, selecting your cut takes a wise interaction. The foreshots come first and are simply discarded, for often they're toxic and never the target. Now, just because heat's applied never ensures that what first pours forth is desired or pure. The heart of the brew is the clarified essence, found center and second, requiring patience. Though holding more power and more concentration, it's still intermingled in solvent dilution. Now, once that's extracted, you're left with the feints, the tails and the lees with their own separate taint. Though part may be captured to add to the taste, the dregs are thrown out as solidified waste. Column stills automate breaking up parts, but still their construction embodies this art. The knowledge and wisdom to choose what's of value, and vent out the rest without doubting or sorrow. Most liquors aren't made with just one distillation. It takes 2 or 3 to improve concentrations. The same, just one trial might not be sufficient. It might take more turns till we reach our best limit. Though even if rendered 100 times over, no alcohol wholly is stripped of its water. There's always that trace that escapes distillation, to tell us that nothing achieves isolation. The most we can do is keep heating and cooling and measuring output to keep on improving, with temperature balanced and pressure held steady, and patience to wait till the spirit is ready. Who doesn't love when a plan comes together? That moment before the end, when you know you're going to win, can be sweeter than the moment of victory, sweeter even than subsequent glory, when you see the threads laid out, how they loop and wind and knot, when your strategies, or guesses, are all proven true, and all the players hit their marks just as you foresaw. All your build-up and effort is known worthy, proven smart. Though more is yet to do, the final round to end, your task still within the process of completion, you strive, you act without doubt, gladly paying for known results. This is the moment your labors have built toward, not the profit, not the trophy, not peers' applause. Those are remnants. After all, recognition and recall. We seek invention, creation, conception, when all things are answered, that one perfect moment. There's some that think the great work's done when they behold the stone, when all their labors come to its fruition. But sages know there is no end, the true work cycles on, returning to the world through new projection. The stone's a step, a teaching task, a focus and a tool, a thing of value, true, but not the greatest. It lets you start the work afresh with knowledge of its truth, beginning once again with greater focus. The fire you set with stone in hand will burn a little hotter, your solvents and your catalysts enhanced. Less loss, less waste, and more result will come from all your labors, and you'll return to purer forms with haste. And greater still the range and scope your work effects will grow, enhancing those with whom you share your wealth. The stone resounds with influence that draws like lodestone force, aligning all it touches toward itself. There's those who have forgot this stage, content to hoard their gold, or else not brave enough to start anew. But ending when the work's not done and tightening one's hold will only sour the stone from lesser use. To keep the stone, to use it well, requires its full release, the power and the wisdom to let go. To know that nothing's ever done, that knowledge must increase, and wealth's best use is spending to make more.
Lead is the lowest, the basest of ores, though holding within it primordial fires. Tin's ruled by Jove, but is still rather low, though brilliant without, it conceals several flaws. Iron, like Mars, is hard, heavy, and sharp, but struck unprepared it can shatter apart. Copper, like Venus, is pliant and bright, though tarnished too easily, too prone to combine. Mercury's gleam is much harder to dim, but though swiftly it flows, it can still be corrupted. Silver's more pure, like the moon's shining light, but only reflects what it's standing beside. Gold is the noblest, the shine of the sun. It's pure, incorruptible, second to none. Platinum, though, is by some thought the greatest, both silver and gold, as their more perfect marriage.